Hello everybody, welcome back to YouTube. So today we're going to do a pull session. Not done a pull session for a little bit of time. Movements are pretty much the same, just some of them are being swapped like for like movements. So we'll go through them, obviously go up with kind of setup and how we do them, a little bit of a breakdown of those. But I really want to get stuck into progressive overload training, what it actually means, how to apply it, and what benefit it's going to bring to you as a bodybuilder, depending on what training you then progress on to, because obviously we all have our different loves and needs and enjoyment, but why I think that progressive overload training is something that people should do, learn and give a chance. The last time I stood on one of these chairs, it fell through because I'm a silly Billy. You'll not be able to tell on the video, but my warm-up's actually just taken me 5 minutes. Try not to make your warm-up last too long. You want to get in and you want to get to work. You don't want to fatigue yourself. You want to get in, get ready. The best way to warm yourself up is doing some warm-ups on the lifts that you're about to do. So, progressive overload training is broken down to a few different things. It is not just about weight. So, get that out of your head. If you just focus on weight, you will find that your form will break down. So, progressive overload training breaks down into strength, reps. It can also break down into your form. It can also break down into things like intensity types, so things like 2-second holds, how many on your concentric, how many on your eccentric are you going to be taking in terms of seconds to get to that next point. So there's lots of different things that can equate to progressive overload. Don't just think about it from a strength perspective, otherwise you are going to find that things break down. If your form breaks down, you're not going to be utilising the muscle that you're working, so how are you progressively overloading that movement because you're not actually doing that movement correctly? So, as much as all those things are combined, form is at the first and foremost thing that you must think about when it comes to progressive overload.
Go again. More. That's better, Meg. Let's go. Keep working, come on. Again. Work, come on. Let's go. Perfect.
Obviously with progressive overload style training, you usually have a top set and a back off set. There may be some instances where you have a third set if you need more volume in that specific area, whether your coach thinks that you need it or not. When it comes to top, second, back off, obviously the first thing that you need to think is do not be any easier on your back off compared to your top set. Both need to push to failure. Both have that mindset with it. When it comes to actual rep ranges, you will find usually your top set, so your first set, is lesser with your rep ranges, and then the second set is usually higher with the rep range. Your heaviest load would be the first set, and the lightest load would usually be the second set. But if you do your first set with the highest load in there, and you're getting closer to those numbers with your back off set, so say if you were a 10 to 12 and then a 12 to 15, if you got 12 reps, I would definitely go again with that same weight and try and aim to get at least within that rep range for what your first set should have been. just sloshed all that water on my nose. That's how you get more gains, snort, sustain.
Yes.
And if you talk about intensity, if you don't look like you're shitting yourself on your last rep, then you're not doing it right. When it comes to your last reps, obviously they're the ones that are a little bit slower, but it doesn't mean that your form should break. Yes, they're slower and they're a little bit harder towards compared to the front end of your set, but they still should look like what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So say I'm doing an upper back row now, my last rep should still look like an upper back row. It has been scientifically proven that the last few reps of your set are the most effective. So they would be your ones that are more inclined to help your bid in hypertrophy, in building muscle. If you do want to see a podcast that is very relatable to that obviously delves into things a little bit deeper than this reel, please check it out. It's by Scott McNally and Dr. Scott Stevenson on Think Big Bodybuilding Media on YouTube. All good. Thank you. Oh, that's easy. I should have put a bit more weight on there. When it comes to progressive overload training, obviously we talk about standardizing form. Standardizing form means every single session, but it also means during your sets. So the first rep of your set should look identical to the last rep. It's just going to be a little bit slower. Form should always stay very, very, very good throughout your set to make sure that you can keep tension on the muscle that you're supposed to be working. You're going to see it here now with not an explanation, a demonstration of my set.
Good. Right. Nice.
Very warm. When it comes to training to actual failure, obviously when you first go to the gym, potentially it's not something that you've been exposed to before. Like me personally, I've come from a background of elite sport. We get pushed to extremities from the first point that you go in, so I'm used to that. I knew what that meant going into a set. Some people don't come from that background, so obviously you have to learn how to do that. One of the best ways that I learned when I was first starting was asking the most experienced person in the gym for a spot, and that pushed me to know how to train to failure. If you've got a coach, they may allow you to come into a session where they take you through one set, and that'll obviously show you how to train to failure. Filming your sets so that your coach can see, and they'll tell you that you've got a few more reps left in so that you know that for next time. Or obviously watching your own sets back and seeing that too. Another way that we actually get with our clients is go on a spin bike, go as long and as hard as you can for as fast and as hard as you can. Obviously that challenges you to the point of extreme failure and fatigue. That's what the end of a set should feel like. And if you don't feel like that, you're not pushing to failure. Firstly, I spoke about earlier, the fact that if you reach the reps of your back offset in your first set, it's probably going to be more ideal to go with the same weight again for the next set and aim to at least get the reps for what your top set should be. So I've literally done that for my pull down and for my row here. I reached the top of my rep range, so I stuck with the same weight and aimed to try and get the reps at least for what my top set, my first set should have been. So that's great progression. To say that I'm in a diet phase, obviously that is very positive. I really wish that push would feel like that, but it doesn't, and that's just obviously very sad. One of the most useful tools when it comes to tracking your progress is a logbook, especially when it comes to progressive overload. If you can remember each set from the last time you did it 5 days ago, 10 days ago, then fair enough. But for most people, a logbook works really well. For me personally, I like to use a lined logbook, so I can put my exercises down the side and I can track it for 6 weeks along, and then I can keep doing that. Otherwise you keep flicking and turning back to different pages. If you can actually just have it all in one place, just a real quick way to look at it, get on with your set. Nothing takes away from your session. In there, obviously you'll have your weights and your reps. You can also like annotate it a little. Reps are bad, decrease weight next time. Whatever little teaching points that you may have from looking at your own video feedback, obviously you can put it into there. Lots of people have really negative things to say about tripods. I think they're a really useful tool. As long as you have good gym etiquette and you're not being kind of ignorant where you put it, and then if somebody walks in front of it getting a little bit pissy because it happens, I think it's a really useful tool. You can look back at it, you can see what you've done wrong, you can then implement it in your next set, or you can utilise it at the end of your sessions, look through it and know some teaching points for your next working sets. Obviously a lot of coaches now do video feedback as well, so if that is something that they're giving you a chance to do, take a chance to do it, because the better you can get your movements, the more you will hit the muscle mass that you're supposed to be, the better you will grow, the better competitor you will be. So it's a no-brainer for me. Even on your easy exercises, you need to push them to failure. That is one thing. So, if you are someone that wants to train high volume, that doesn't mean that it's easy. You still have to push yourself each and every session. You're still pushing yourself to almost failure. But to be able to know what that means, you have to be able to learn to train to failure first. Same goes for things like reps in reserve. So many people train reps in reserve. There's a big culture of it in the UK where coaches write plans for people with reps in reserve. But someone that's a beginner to training, and I'm talking like until someone's 7 years deep of learning how to train to failure, don't know what reps in reserve are. Like, I think that for most lifts I could do it. Maybe there's some that I still couldn't. So I think it's really important that you learn how to train to failure before you actually start doing those types of training styles. Otherwise, you're going to be missing out on all of your effective reps. Oh, what a bastard. Hip thrusts. I used to do them terribly, really terribly, and obviously it was evident in my glutes. Hopefully we'll have some on stage next time. But the biggest thing that I have changed in this off season is stop trying to whack on all the weight on it and listen to the critique that Cooper's been saying to me to keep my lower back flat as I come down. When you first do it, it'll feel really strange. It feels like you have a lot of stretch into your quads. It feels like you're almost a shitting dog at the bottom. You'll not be, it's completely flat. But the amount of tension that you can create in your glutes compared to arching the back and then flinging it back is just night and day different. Rear delt flies, don't do half reps. I used to do half reps. I used to do it, that was it. You need full range of motion to be able to work your rear delts. Don't be naughty like me. Some upper body stuff when you're in a diet phase is just not fun, is it? That's the end of my pull session. The session went as follows. A single arm pull down on the Gymshark pull down, that is lat focus. Then moved on to the upper back row on the prime seated row. Then onto the single arm lat focus row on the single arm, on the same row, but doing it obviously single arm. Then moved on to the neutral grip prime upper back row. Then did some pullovers, single arm, into then hip thrusts, rear delts, bicep curls. I didn't talk a whole lot about the actual session, just more about training to failure. So hopefully you took away some things away from the way in which my sets looked. Hopefully that breakdown of what each movement was helps. And if there's anything that you'd like me to cover, please drop it down below. Please like, share, subscribe. I sound like Austin Powers. Please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll be back for another video.